can you hear the microphone? Dwayne can hear it, Tim in Louisiana can hear it, and you can too. Because Connie came on and she couldn't hear the audio, so she's in the process of rebooting her computer. Oh, mosquitoes tonight because of the high amount of humidity we're having. South of here is solid clouds, and about 50 degrees and up towards the north it's clear. Just the odd clouds are going by here and there. So basically what I'm doing, I'm testing the DS2.3 Plus, which I haven't used in over a year. I don't think so. I'll ever use it on this scope, to be honest with you. And this is what we are looking into here. Okay, so we're going to put the frame rate down. DLX 16-inch. It's the big one because the other dome is busted. The cables are broken, so I can't use the 8-inch. So I'm using that with the universe focal reducer, of course, and we're just testing this out here at the moment, and hopefully things will work out okay. So I can see the black levels working really good on this, on the DS2.3 Plus. It's going to be the main camera I'm going to bring to find out at the Star Party, and we're just going to get acquainted to it a little bit. Rings off. Oh, there's no, yes I did. Yes, I did. I took the stainless steel ring off at the front, and I installed it because it was already in there for the universe. So I figured I'm going to put the DS2.3 Plus. I removed the stainless steel part, which is the 1.25-inch C mount, and under that is the T mount. So yes, that's how I got the universe focal reducer on the DS2.3 Plus. I did a test earlier. There was nobody on, actually. I was just all alone here. I had the universe on, so I had to find Altair, and I did. And then what I've done is center it. Set, I believe, was 100 milliseconds. So it's 1/10 of a second, and I could see Altair. Try to focus it. And of course the universe gave me much wider field of view than this, and I've installed the DS2.3 Plus, and the thing was running at milliseconds, even lower, and it was showing me Altair right away instantly without any delay in it from refreshing. So it would appear that the DS2.3 Plus might be able to be more sensitive than the universe, which I'm not surprised. This is the newer technology sensors in them, and I tell you, it works pretty good so far. That's correct, yes. So Altair looked really small with the universe, and it looks a lot fatter here, of course, because it's quite bright. But if I lower the here, let me get the black level down a little bit, and let me go back to the exposure. If I lower the exposure down about 9 milliseconds, you can see the star will get pinpoint and small. So I'm at 1 millisecond at the moment. 1 millisecond. This is incredible. So this thing moves instantly, basically. If I here, there you go. Just move instantly, and I really like that idea. The mount's not tracking too good, but again, it's just to do a quick test here before I go to fully mount. The DS2.3 Plus performs extremely well. I had to disconnect the USB 3 cable from the new computer and plug it into another USB 3 socket on the computer because one socket would not fire up the camera. Basically, it didn't even show up on the software. So switching input of the USB 3 and to a different one, and boom, it worked right away. So that's one good thing. I'm using very old USB cables in here, and it's to be expected to have flaws in it, but somehow it's working really, really, really good. The computer's working good. It's not working hard at all, and all is good so far. So hey, we're going to go to 16 milliseconds, and if you wonder why it's getting so big, well, that's because we're overexposing the star. So here we are, we're at 219 milliseconds. So you're going to start seeing the stars in the background popping up. Now we're 500 milliseconds. So out there is very bright. So of course it's going to splatter on adjacent pixels. So you're just going to get a really bright star. But if you see the other stars, they're not bad at all. They're fairly small. And using large aperture like I am, magnifies those stars. So don't expect to get pinpoint here tonight because the scope I'm using is rather large, and the sensor in the DS2.3 PLUS is at 13.4 millimeter across. So it is much bigger than ICX 825, and it's much bigger than ICX 828. And we're running at 2.3 megapixel. So far doing the test here that I'm doing, I'm very impressed to see the amount of detail we see at 1 second even. What you're seeing across the main star is I probably got a spider web in there in the telescope or in the outside of the telescope. I didn't check for that. I basically just open up everything and off I go. Okay, so everything is working for you, Connie? Good, good. A lot of mosquitoes here tonight because of the heavy rain that we've been having. Gloriously enough, I was expecting a flood in here tonight because it's been 2-3 days. We're getting massive amount of rain. Some places got over 120 millimeter. That's over 4 inches of rain. Other places got 8 inch of rain. And around here, that's what we got. Everything is soaked and wet. And I entered in the dome this evening at 9 o'clock, and there was nothing in the dome as far as water is concerned. So, mind you, I've been pointing the dome in a different direction when I close it. I don't know if it's related to that, but I am very happy to see that. So tonight we're using KVY to rebroadcast and showing the software at the same time. I'm not too sure which object we're going to go at. I could always go to M15, but M15 is very low right now. And let me see if I could get to M15. Glad you're back there, Connie, so everything is okay. So what I'm going to do is aim the scope at M15. Give me a second. I'm going to go on the other side, make sure the scope doesn't go bonkers on me, and I'll be right back, and we'll see what we can see with M15. I'll be right back. Okay, something's wrong in the telescope alignment. It doesn't want to respond. Yeah, it's too low. I'm going to go back on Altair here for a moment and see if it's going to go back on there, because it hasn't. Yeah, we're off for sure. So I did synchronize Altair earlier, and I find that slightly off. Yeah, it's at zenith. I can't go to the zenith with the 16-inch because the camera's going to hit the mount. So let me realign this here properly. There we go. Alright, here we go. Okay, let's do a sync command on this. May want to go to M92. I don't know. Yeah, M3 might be okay. I'll have to swing the dome. Alright, let's try for M3. I'll be right back, folks. Hang on. Yeah, the telescope alignment's completely out of whack. It's not even close to where it's supposed to be. I'm trying to get M5 right now, and once again, the scope is not. So we're just going to see if we could find M5 in here. On a big scope, you're limited for field of view, obviously, especially a 16-inch, so I'm hoping to be able to find M5 here quickly. And it would seem that the go-to alignment is not well. So we are going to attempt okay. Just bear with me for a moment, folks. We're just going to try to get where we need to go, and hopefully we'll resolve this go-to situation here. Okay, we're not even close. Okay, definitely the go-to is not right. So, well, that's okay. If it's not one thing, it's another. Typical. Let me try to find M5 in there, and we're going to start in a circular motion here, and see if we could find it within the field of view. Obviously, the telescope alignment is incorrect. I did not do an alignment except for the other day when I used it, and so far not done. So we're just looking for M5 right now. I sent the scope on a circular motion so we could actually see it go by, and I think I'm way off. Okay, if it's not one thing, it's another, and this time it's the telescope. It's not aligned properly. So I'm going to have to go on Arcturus, I believe, and attempt to do a star alignment towards the west. I'll be right back, folks. We're going to go do a sync command and see what we can do. I'll be right back. Okay, make a story short, a camera fell on the power switch, so the power went out on scope, had to do 2-star alignment, and it's still not right. Nonetheless, we got M5 in there, and it's huge in there because of the aperture. The bigger the aperture, the more you're going to see less field of view. What high-resolution camera is, or high-resolution image, is the ability to amplify, basically to magnify an object to the point where you can resolve everything in it. That's called resolution, folks. I began to write something about resolution and the actual definition of it, because there's a massive confusion out there being spread around on the internet about astronomy, where they say resolution equals the size of the image, or basically how many pixels you have. It's completely false. Resolution means the ability to split stars, or to have a high power view and be able to see finer and finer detail. That's resolution. So right now we're running the DS2.3 PLUS at about f6 or so on the 16-inch, and I'm running at 1 second exposure. I don't know if I'm not sure if the tracking is going to be good enough, but we're going to change that to, hang on a sec, we're going to change that to the trigger mode on the DS2.3 PLUS, and we're going to start the loop. So you hit loop, and here's 5-second exposure, no, 2-second exposure, and there's no stacking here, folks. We don't need stacking. We're going to jump from 2 seconds to 5 seconds exposure. Here's 5 seconds. As you can see, stars are getting bigger, and one of the reasons is they're brighter, exposure is longer. However, the stars are going to bleed over into adjacent pixels next door to it. So it's not 100% dark here, but it's getting there for sure. And here, this is pretty well what we got. I got gain all the way up on this. What we want to do now is to go to, all right, the color balance is fine. What we want to do is color adjust. So what I'm going to do is color adjustment. Let's go to the default here. There we go. All right, so what we want to do is lower the saturation. Always lower the saturation, no matter what sky radars you're going to use, or an exterminator, or the universe. Lower the saturation. It's a must. It's simply to avoid how strong the colors are. It can make it difficult to focus. Now my tracking is not that good right now, and let's wait and see here. We're going to be touching up on the hue, try to get the right color balance. So if you leave the red, if you go to color balance, as you can see, the red is at 0, green 0, and blue at 0. We're going to leave that the way it is. Instead of, we go to color adjust and lower the saturation and try to get the best hue as possible. Hue will blend the colors until what you see is pretty well what you like, or you could leave it at default. That'll depend also on the sky condition. You can play a little bit with the brightness. I don't know what you mean by silverish. Is this how you see it over there, Connie? I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the scope. All right, sorry. I'm not paying attention to what's... oh, okay, all right. Sorry about that. My mistake. My bad. Here, let's change the contrast a little bit. And of course, we could go a little bit longer exposure, so let's stop that. And instead of 5 seconds, How about if we go 8 seconds? Again, there's no stacking here. Oh, this is M5, what we're looking at. And higher resolution, obviously, because of the... all right, let's go to 10 seconds. I see that the tracking may be able to handle it. If I would have done the proper star alignment, tracking would be much, much better. So here we go for 10 seconds. There. The center's starting to get a little bit overexposed, and what we could do for that is a few things. You could change the gamma to get a darker background, which I'm currently doing, so we got to wait till the 10 seconds here goes by, and the idea is to go in moderation. We could always put the gamma back at default, which is 1.0 brightness. We could increase that and give it a try. See what kind of result we're going to get. I'm not going for super long exposures here. I want to keep things short. We're going to lower the saturation some more. Okay, that's not too bad. Now here's what we could do. We've got the saturation down, the brightness at 0, contrast is at 14. So you basically need to adjust those based on the scope that you have and the F ratio. F ratio is very important. I've got the frame rate to low settings, always. That way you're not overloading the computer here with extra work of data transfer. Now here's our histogram, and we certainly could change that. We could bring this to 150, let's say, from 225, and see what we're going to get. Just by touching up the histogram, we're going to bring a lot of stuff out, and we don't necessarily want to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this back at default. I'm going to leave the histogram alone for now. And the reason is, I think we could get a good image just by using the color adjustment. We've got also black levels. So if we go towards the right, things will get lighter a little bit. There you go. So you do have a lighter background, but be careful. You can also pull more amp glow. We don't want to do that. So let's lower the black level down to 3. So we could have it at default. I believe the default is about 5 or so. And we could go with stacking as well. I don't know how many frames we could try, but we could try additive, I guess, or average. Yeah, we could always try additive. We'll go deep sky. Let's enable this and see what's going to happen. So we could stack 4 images, and this will be additive, not averaged. Average is going to smooth out things, and it will get rid of a lot of noise. However, if you go with additive, it is going to build up as if you're increasing your exposure. And that's the beauty of this software and this specific camera. You're capable of adjusting all of these parameters as you see fit. So we've got 2 inputs so far of 10 seconds. We're just going to wait till the output comes up. There you go. It's starting to come, and obviously, as you can see, we're starting to overexpose the whole kit shabugo, and that I don't want to do. I would rather use a single nice image. I did not take any dark frames or dark field correction, and so far it's working okay. So here we're back down to 10 seconds. What I'm going to do is change that. We're going to lower, I don't know, maybe about 7 seconds. Let's go back here, and again, like I did to the universe the other night, stick to a few things only here. We're going to go with brightness, contrast, gamma, and saturation. Very important. If we turn up saturation too high, watch what's going to happen. All right, so we got the colors are too strong. We got the wrong colors. Let's adjust the hue, try to get the right tone, I guess you could say. If it's a greenish type, well, we need to move the hue slightly to the right and add a bit more red in there, so you are going to have a better color mixture. There we go. Let's pay attention here until we got I'm looking for the nice light bulb color. Incandescent light bulb color is what you want out of that. Alright, let's see about here. Would be alright. Let's see what it does. Next is lower the saturation. So we're going to bring the saturation down to 55. The default's 128. And watch what's going to happen. Nice white, bright light bulb color, and as the result we get at 7 seconds. Tracking's not good, as you can see, so it's going up towards the upper right. I'm in Altaz. I've got a lot of magnification here with that scope, so tracking would definitely need to be improved by a better 2-star alignment, which I just did quickly a minute ago, and it's still not bang on, so far from it. In fact, I would have to do a high precision alignment of 2 stars, and we would have much better results. But it looks not too bad for what it is. We're at 7 seconds, and the idea is to keep your exposure at 1 settings for now until you explore the adjustments. Here, for an example, I could increase the brightness from 0 to 15. So the next refresh, we're going to see the difference. Okay, slightly brighter. Let's increase it even more to 44. So that's a lot brighter. The 3 central stars start to get overexposed just by increasing the brightness. So exposure is not all it. If you're going to go for galaxies, then you're going to have to increase exposure. But you're still going to have to do some basic adjustments of the color adjustment called where the saturation, brightness, contrast, and gamma are located. So we're going to lower this here a little bit. Use what you need. Don't go overexposed. Again, based on the aperture, especially the F ratio. Regardless of the scope you're going to use, the F ratio is the most important of it all. And this is what we're experimenting with here tonight, is basic adjustments. What I'm going to do is going to stop this, and I want to go down to 4 seconds. Now 4 seconds is going to give us a much dimmer image, which is okay. So you can compensate with the brightness and also the contrast. See, instead of 7, 8 seconds we're down to 4 seconds. So I cut back on the exposure, and just by adjusting the brightness, contrast, and gamma, I get to bring back what I was looking at a lower exposure. For that you need a chip that's very sensitive. There's no stacking here or anything like that. This is straightforward. Here we're going to play a little bit with the gamma. I'd say about 90 would be a good starting point for this. And I could increase the brightness a little bit. 64 would be too bright, I think. Maybe 40, 41 on the brightness. There we go. And of course we got the contrast here. You can go with a lighter background, slightly darker background, or really dark background, but you tend to miss faint stars. Now once you've got this contrast darker like that, you do have room to increase the brightness. You can even bring the brightness all the way up. Makes the central region of M5 even brighter. And lower the contrast a little bit. The fun part of having short exposure is your refresh comes up in 4 seconds. Here's, there we go. We adjust that a little bit the way we like it. I am going to lower the object on the screen because the tracking is not correct. Okay. Again, there's no stacking or anything. This is straightforward 4-second exposure, and we get the best image we can with the lowest amount of exposure, and using the brightness, contrast, and gamma, you get to nail what you need to see. Mind you, M5 is a bright object, but it also shows the dynamic range of the camera. What is your range in the darkness? What is the range in the brighter area? And it separates it very, very well. Okay, what we're going to do now is decrease the contrast. I like to get the background a little whiter like this, and the reason is I'm going to lower the exposure, or we could leave the exposure the way it is basically and switch over to video mode on top. So you got 2 presets, so I could run to 2 seconds without touching my main one. You can go 8-bit or 12-bit, whichever that you want. When you switch bit, you are going to lose, which is normal with every camera. The higher the bit rate you go, the less sensitivity you're going to have. And at this moment, we were looking at 8 bits. Right now it's 12 bits, so it's adjustable between 8 and 12, which is fine. Here, we're back at 8 bits at the moment. And we're going to switch object for a moment. I got to go look for something else. I'll be right back, folks. This is 2-second exposure, by the way. Well, the sensitivity of the chip is definitely there. Not a problem there, Tim. It's you could select 8 or 12 bits. But this is video. It has nothing to do with imaging, so it really does not matter. There's a major confusion out there on the internet that people think you buy a camera and it's a video camera. I know one company that claims they are a video camera, and they're not. It's an imager. It's false advertising. In fact, if a camera says and fits, it is not a real video camera. There's a huge difference from an imager and video camera. This what we're displaying here tonight is a video camera with a CMOS sensor. High sensitivity CMOS sensor. You're actually going to see a review of this in Astronomy Magazine and Sky and Telescope Magazine coming up soon. Here goes the satellite. So I haven't seen either of the reviews. I can't wait to see what they're saying about it. And we're going to get a real honest truth about it, and I guess go from there. So let me go look for something else, and I'm going to be right back. Hopefully I'll be able to find the object I have in mind. I'll be right back.